Greetings, Inquisitor. Welcome to the Holocron. This is the week 103 update for the Darth Loquitur account. I update this account's progress every week, go through the characters, ships, things I'm doing, planning for the future, and you can follow along. Leave comments down below. If you have any thoughts, ideas, compliments, criticisms, whatever you may have, always happy to hear from y'all. With that in mind, let's get into it and see what happened in the account this week. The relic target was to get Mon Mothma to her relic level for the Profundity Journey. We're going to get that done. Take her up to relic level 5, and you'll see that we'll get 2 completions. We'll actually get a quest completion for both the Profundity as well as the JML journey that we plan to do later. We're in pretty good shape. We got Jin, Urso, and Harrison Dula at gear 12. We're going to try to lock down the gear on the rest of these characters, get them as close to gear 12 as we can. Biston, we're going to go ahead and upgrade here. He needs one piece that needs these Mark V detonators. So we'll lock in the other pieces just to make sure we don't use them up somewhere else where we don't want to. Same thing with the Dash Rendar. We'll come in here, we'll lock down some of his gear pieces. Make sure we don't waste the gear where we don't want it. Going in here, 50 RT, we're working on this character kind of in the background. Get a 4th star. Just building that up on one of our hard farms. Jedi Training Ray, we get to 7 stars. That's going to help us get this, that's Scavenger Ray, but it's to help get the Jedi Training Ray that we're going to need eventually for the Jedi Master Luke journey. Here we get a 5th star in Fennec. Plan to build her someday, but just kind of farming her up in the background. Working on some bounty hunter stuff for someday. Grief Cargo, we're locking in gear pieces on him. We do want this little bounty hunter team that we built under Aura Singh to go faster than it currently does. And unfortunately, Grief Cargo is really the reason why that team is not able to go any faster. So over the course of the next few weeks, we'll try to gear him up a little bit. Here I'm just working on mods for the week and trying to get some decent mods. Working on L3, do a little work on B2. And then we come in here on fleets. We're going to get the 7th star on Biston's U-Wing. I do need to start saving up for the Profundity capital ship when I get it. But we're still quite a ways out on that. So I haven't really started saving up the shipbuilding materials for it. We're continuing to build ships as we get them. We also we have the star here on the Extinction Bomber. We also have 7 stars finally on the Home 1. It's amazing how long it took me to actually get that ship to 7 stars. But here we go. So 7 stars on that ship. And we're going to go ahead and finish out a couple of the skills here to their top level. And we'll leave it there. And that'll take most of our shipbuilding materials, but we can start saving toward that here in the near future. So then I came back in the next day. I'd played the Grand Arena and thought about putting this Omicron onto Dash Rendar so I could start making use of this team. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at these skills. We're going to apply some Omegas, put the Omicron on him, and get him ready for the Grand Arena. L3 is obviously a character that we're going to put with the Dash Rendar team, along with Vandor Chewbacca. So kind of taking a look at those characters, seeing if we can top them off a little bit. Taking a look at the little bits of gear that I have left over here. There are quite a few green pluses on Vandor, and we can work on his mods a little bit. His mods aren't too bad. They're not great. They're kind of leftover mods, but he does have mods on him to at least get through. So much like Dash Rendar, we're just going to try to set him up, position him to be at least useful in the Dash Rendar team. Alright, and then we go back in here on Biston, and we did get those Mark V detonators filled in. So we take him up to gear 11. That puts us in pretty good shape on this journey. Still got a lot of characters to relic, but we're getting there. We're getting there slowly but surely. All right, at week 103, that puts us at 5.07 million galactic power. We added 50,000 this week. 50th relic, 64th Zeta. We got the JMK squad that can still get us the top score in Squad Arena if we play. Executor can get us top 5 most days, and we will target Jyn Erso relic for week 105. The plan for farming for next week is Radis, Scion. Scion's the node that has the First Order shuttle on it, so that's why we're farming that node. 50 RT, Fennec. I'll start picking up Wicket too as a farm. In Fleet, we're doing the Outrider and the Raven's Claw. In the Cantina, we're doing Signal Data, Speed and Defense mods, and then the Refresh strategy is 3 across the board. In the Squad Arena store, we're just working on gear there. I think we're good on Prestige for the moment. In the Fleet store, I'm basically buying anything that I don't have finished out, which I think there's only a couple things left, like one ship and the Tusken Shaman. So I'm trying to finish out all the purchases I can make from the Fleet store, and then buying Zeta materials with what's left over. Everything else is going to feed the Shard Shop. All right, as of week 103, we have 2 Datacron sets that are active, and I've got a level 9 Datacron on Ardent Ideologies that's set up for Sith Eternal Emperor, all the way to level 9. And then we've got the Security Primer ones with Darth Vader all the way to level 9, and that's a pretty good Datacron. It's really proven to be pretty powerful in Grand Arenas especially. So in trying to answer this question of should we try to get max Datacrons, I've done it a couple different ways over the last few weeks, and with the current rate of acquisition that you get for, especially through Conquest, I've found that if I rush to the end of the first level, I can start farming up the credits that you need to build those Datacrons, and I'm getting enough resources that way that I can build like one really good Datacron all the way to 9, and build 1 or 2 other ones on the side to maybe put with a team that I'm using for underdogs or something like Enfys Nest or Troopers or whatever that I can put them on. So the C Datacron has proven to be fairly mediocre. I don't think it's made that much of a difference in my GAC matchups, but the Vader Datacron is absolutely crazy, and we've been beating Galactic Legends, including GL Ray, with the Vader Datacron. So that's pretty powerful. If you have the character that fits the level 9 buff, it's a pretty big deal. And I would say, people have asked, should I go out of my way to try to farm Datacrons? And the answer is yes. If you have a character that can, that's at Relic 7 or that you want at high relics anyway, and the level 9 Datacron is going to apply to that character, it's usually worth building. Even on Sith Eternal, where it's a pretty mediocre Datacron, it's its own currency system, so you aren't wasting a lot of other currency doing it. And if you can get that one Datacron, then it's a pretty big deal for that team. And remember, you can take advantage of these Datacrons. You don't have to have a full relic team. If you take something on offense and you just underdog with your offense, have 1, 2, 3 characters, whatever, as long as they're qualifying for the Datacron, the effects apply. Be careful spending crystals, too many crystals on this stuff, either for refreshes or for, materials in the game, because these are not permanent things, and you'll get a temporary buff and it'll go away. And of course, if we're spending crystals, we would much rather spend crystals on things that are going to stick around. Same thing with the Shard Shop currency, the data cash, the money that you can buy with the Shard Shop currency is okay. It's not let's say it's not, it's neither greatly efficient nor inefficient. It's just kind of somewhere in the middle. So it depends on what you value more. If you were to value this Datacron a lot more than you would value the shard shop currency, then it would be something that you could do. For myself, I do find that I value the shard shop currency higher. And so, like I said, what I do is I go to the end of Zone 1 in Conquest, and you have to have some extra teams, because if you're using your good team to farm that node, then you're not getting progress higher up in Conquest. That would be a problem. So you want your progress, you want to move up through the zones with those teams, and then you want to have some extra teams that can farm out the end of the zone. They've got that node at the end now that drops Datacron materials, and the Zone 1 node drops the currency, the data cache, money for leveling them up. And so far, with a well-placed refresh here and there and spending energy in the right way for the conquests, I've been able to have enough money to do what I want. Now, I haven't had to do an excessive amount of rerolls. I've probably done, 4 or 5 rerolls to get each Datacron where I want it. So it hasn't been excessive, but I have done the rerolls, and I'm still okay on the currency. You do have to assume that you're going to need reroll materials. So for myself, I find that I can usually get this level 9 Datacron on the second conquest. I can't really get to it on the first and get the refresh materials and get everything that I need. So on the second round of conquest, I usually have enough. And if you've got enough teams to be able to push to the end of Conquest, then you want to farm the end node on Zone 5. That's where you're going to find the materials to reroll your Datacrons. So it does take a bit of a concerted effort, use of some refreshes, pushing up with your best teams, and getting to the end so that you can farm that node for the reroll materials. You can also buy the reroll materials out of the shard shop. But if you're buying that and potentially also buying currency, if you're not able to farm these nodes in Conquest, it's really going to start to slow down your progress on things where you could be buying equipment and taking characters to relic levels. So the moral of the story is, don't slow down your permanent progress for the temporary power of a Datacron, but it is worth making the effort. And let's say you had to do 10 refreshes over the course of 2 weeks. That 500 crystals, the Datacron's definitely going to be worth those 500 crystals if it's a character that you have and can use. Okay? So I believe it's worth trying to build at least one big Datacron for each set. And like I said, leave your comments down below. Let me know how you feel about it, what your experiences have been with the Datacrons. I know some users on the channel have had to work on several Datacrons to get their Vader Datacron up and running, so I know it was frustrating for some people, but worth it in the end. So the mod changes, I also want to kind of tie up some loose ends on that. After the changes to the mod nodes came out, I've spent the last weeks really trying to farm the slicing materials and see if there's some efficient slicing strategy that comes out of it, especially since the nodes have been duplicated now. The materials have been duplicated within the same nodes. So after working with it, 9A and 9B, they don't significantly improve the ability to slice the gray mods. So I thought by combining 9A and 9B, we could work on a lot more of these gray and green mods. And in the end, the credit cost is just so insanely high. If you want to slice more gray mods, you can, but you have to level them up to 15. And really, I did that for a couple rounds, and the amount of credits that it takes to get all those mods to level 15 just to try to slice them, and then often have it not work out. I don't think the statistics look very good on that. Don't farm 9C. It's got capacitors and amplifiers. Those do come off of other nodes. The 9E and 9F nodes and 9D have the materials on them that you need. So 9D is an efficient node. You get your the stuff you need for making 6-dot mods. Impulse detectors, 9D is a very efficient node, so out of all of the nodes, that one is the one that you can just kind of default farm and you won't go wrong. 9E and 9F are actually mediocre. I thought being able to farm these 6-dot materials for higher slicing for the purple and gold levels was going to be a pretty good deal. But the energy cost on those nodes is pretty high and the drop rates aren't that good. So overall, not that great of nodes. So I'm going to say when you have a mod that is high potential that you want to take to those purple or gold slicing levels, then you go farm it. I wouldn't farm those ahead of time and make a big bank of them. You still get those materials from the galactic challenges and other areas in the game, so I don't think there's a big push to go farm those until you actually, in fact, have a mod that you need to slice. Then you can farm them up and slice the mods. While you're farming those up, you get the capacitors and amplifiers, and that's why you don't need to farm 9C, really. Overall, statistically, from what I see, it's still true that the majority of mod energy should be spent on acquiring more new mods. So with the improved efficiency on the nodes, it puts it at about a 70-30 split. If you want to split that up over the week, it's either, let's say, 5 days farming mods and 2 days farming slicing, or 4 and 3 if you want to go more towards slicing. But it's okay. Either one's fine. If you're optimizing squads and fleets, there was a moment on the Darth Loquitur account where I was kind of transitioning out of the early game, probably right around a year, and I was trying to build my fleets up and strengthen my fleets. And I had to make a big push to 6-dot a whole bunch of mods and to try to get those ships finished out to their top level. So if you're optimizing squads and fleets, farm 9D and higher, get the 6-dot slicing materials, and if you're doing that, I still wouldn't push much past a 50-50 split. I would still be farming, spending just as much energy farming mods as I was farming slicing materials. I think you constantly got to keep these new mods coming into your account, keep working on them. In conclusion, I would say I went after these attenuators right away because I wanted to try slicing up my 6-dot mods that didn't quite hit the speed that I wanted. And within a very short time, I had enough attenuators, and I did almost all of the mods that I wanted to at the first calibration level, where it cost 15 attenuators. So now I'm saving up for the 25s on some of those mods that are worth it. And I'm kind of surprised at how fast they build up. If you just farm that 9D node and then the higher nodes, E and F, for 6-dot slicing materials, the attenuators build up pretty fast. So I think you don't have to go after those in the game, buy them out of a store, or try to farm them, especially to attenuate mods. I think plenty of them will come in. So on a longer timeline, you'll be able to do the 15 and the 25 for most of the mods that you want to, that don't work out for you by the time you get them to 6-dot gold. So that's interesting and nice to know. Also, the way the farming works out now on these nodes, some of these materials, especially like the power flow control chip, that's the one you'll always be short on, and you'll end up with like none of those, and the other material that's on the same node you'll have 600 of. You can see on the account I've got 300 of one kind of the 6-dot material and 720 of the other. It's really unbalanced. So if you're a person who that bothers you, I guess it's always been known that the GAC store has slicing materials in it, and they're a pretty efficient buy. Now I really focus on buying Chirotech materials out of that GAC store, but if you were to want to, you could buy some of these slicing materials out of the GAC store and balance things out so that you wouldn't have to farm. You'd buy one side of it and have the other side already taken care of, for example. So The GAC shop is a way to balance that out if you find this new node system a little bit clunky. All right, that wraps it up for the week. Here's Grandma Mod saying once again to farm your mods. Please do that. Also hit that like saber, hit the like button. It helps me, helps the channel. I'd appreciate it if you could take care of that for me. Subscribe if you want to watch more like this in the future. And please do stop by the Discord. We've got an awesome Discord community. A lot of good, experienced players giving out advice. A lot of new players asking questions. It's a good place to just hang out, learn more about the game, tactics, strategies, account building stuff. Hope to see you over there someday. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you in the next Holocron.